I need to show up and be diligent in the work that he's called me to do, and work hard and work faithfully and do everything with excellence. But at the end of the day, the results are his.
Yeah. So Aby, we talked a little bit about your trip, about your family, and not your trip, about your family. We talked about your Called Beyond trips and events that you had.
Yes.
And convention, and just some of the changes that we're seeing in the homeschool world, which are really exciting, I think. What is the one thing that you have been most encouraged by this year? And just in thinking through whether it's convention or homeschooling or, whatever, what has encouraged you the most in the world of homeschooling?
I would say, well, it's kind of in the world of homeschooling, but it's also in the world of we had an insanely, awesomely busy May and June, just things that God kept putting on our plate. And I would say it is encouraged by, but maybe one of my greatest lessons is when God calls you to do something, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's speaking, whether it's anything, when you release it and surrender it to him, he shows up and he does the impossible. And he does what I constantly say, I can't do all this. Like, Lord, I have a June with 3 major things that you've called us to, and all unrelated from one another. So there's no carryover, and it was interesting because with each big thing that I had, there was definitely a major attack that I felt, like something that could have totally tripped it up. But God showed up over and over and did what I could never do and did the miraculous. And as I'm going into planning this next year, here's something wild and crazy. I have my first high schooler.
Yeah, yay.
And as I'm going into that this fall, and I've been looking at a lot of planning that this year, I'm like, you know what? God has shown me that he shows up in the biggest, most impossible things. And he's going to show up every day of my homeschool, and he's going to show up on the hard days. And just as I'm planning the year to just fully surrender it and release it to him, knowing that he can do more with my surrender and release and obedience than I could ever do with planning. So I think that's, I know that, and I've known that forever, but it's just cool to be reminded again and again and again and again of that.
Yeah.
So,
which is a good reminder to hold our planning lightly when we're planning for the school year, which most of us are doing now. If you haven't started, maybe start in the next couple of weeks, figure out what you're doing with your kids. By the way, if you're new to the podcast and you missed our Homeschool Survival series that we did, it was fantastic. We had so many amazing guests on who just talked through all the different teaching styles and learning styles. And it was amazing. I think we started that sometime back in February or so.
Yeah. And that would be a great one for summer because that's going to just give you the foundation you need to start this fall.
Yes. So you can go back and listen to those episodes, but this is a great time to start planning. And so as we plan, we set our plans before the Lord, but then we just hold them with a loose grip and allow the Lord to kind of direct our year.
And we need to show up. Like, we need to show up and do the work he's called us to do. That's what I really kept seeing this spring is like, I need to show up and be diligent in the work that he's called me to do, and work hard and work faithfully and do everything with excellence. But at the end of the day, the results are his. The results are his. And I think it goes the same with homeschooling. I show up, I do what God's asked me to do, but the results are his. God already has a plan for who my children are going to be and what they're going to do and what their lives are going to look like. The results are his, but we need to show up and we need to, work diligently at what he's called us to do.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.